The pen felt heavier than it should have as I signed the final document, my name etched across the contract that officially marked the sale of my company for $15 million. For a moment, I just stared at it, almost expecting someone to tell me there had been a mistake. The room was filled with polite smiles, firm handshakes, and congratulatory remarks, but everything sounded distant, like I was underwater. Years of struggle, sacrifice, and relentless effort had finally led to this moment. My chest tightened, not with stress this time, but with overwhelming pride. I had done it. I had built something from nothing and turned it into something extraordinary. A quiet sense of fulfillment settled over me, the kind that comes only once in a lifetime. But beneath the excitement, there was a strange, unexplainable feeling, like a shift in the air I couldn't quite define. It was subtle, almost invisible, yet persistent enough to linger at the edge of my thoughts. I brushed it off, telling myself it was just exhaustion after everything I had been through. Still, deep down, something told me this moment of victory wasn't as simple as it seemed, as if the success was about to uncover something I had never expected. I remembered where it all started, the small, cramped space that barely qualified as an office, where I spent countless nights chasing an idea that no one else believed in. There were days when failure felt inevitable, when rejection emails piled up, and when even the simplest progress felt like a battle. I sacrificed everything: time, comfort, relationships, pouring every ounce of energy into building something that only existed in my mind at first. There were moments when I questioned myself, when doubt crept in and whispered that maybe everyone else was right. Even my in-laws never truly believed in me. Their subtle remarks, their dismissive smiles, the way they would compare me to more successful people, it all added weight to an already difficult journey. But I kept going, fueled by a stubborn determination to prove not just them, but myself wrong. Every sleepless night, every risk, every sacrifice became part of a story that led to this success. That's why the moment mattered so much. It wasn't just about the money, it was about validation, about proving that persistence could turn nothing into everything. From the beginning, my in-laws had made their opinions clear without ever saying them directly. They valued status, stability, and appearances above all else, and in their eyes, I didn't measure up. Family gatherings often carried an undercurrent of tension, subtle comments about financial security or career choices slipping into conversations like quiet judgments. They never openly criticized me, but their disappointment was always present, hidden behind polite smiles and passive remarks. I could feel it in the way they spoke to me, the way they compared me to others who had more traditional success. It wasn't loud or confrontational, but it was constant, a quiet reminder that I wasn't good enough in their eyes. My partner tried to balance both sides, but even that effort felt strained at times. Over time, I learned to ignore it, to focus on my own path instead of seeking their approval. Still, their perception lingered, shaping the dynamics of every interaction and making me wonder how they would react if they ever saw me differently. When I finally called my mother to share the news, I expected her voice to light up with excitement. I imagined her celebrating, her pride filling every word as I told her about the deal, about the $15 million, about how everything had finally paid off. For me, it was the moment I had been waiting for, the moment I could say it was all worth it. But instead of the reaction I had anticipated, there was a pause. Her tone when she spoke was calm, too calm. She didn't sound surprised or overly excited. If anything, there was a seriousness in her voice that caught me off guard. I tried to fill the silence with details, explaining how the deal happened, how everything came together, but her response remained measured. It wasn't disappointment, but it wasn't celebration either. That unexpected reaction created a subtle tension, replacing my excitement with confusion. I couldn't understand why she wasn't reacting the way I thought she would, and the more I spoke, the more I sensed that something else was on her mind. Then she said something that made no sense at all. She told me not to tell my in-laws about the money. Instead, she said I should tell them I had gone bankrupt, that everything had failed. For a moment, I thought I had misheard her. Why would I hide the biggest achievement of my life? Why would I pretend to have lost everything when I had just gained so much? The idea felt absurd, almost insulting to everything I had worked for. I questioned her immediately, my voice filled with disbelief. But she didn't back down. She insisted, her tone firm in a way that told me she wasn't joking. There was something she understood that I didn't, something she wasn't fully explaining. Her words lingered in my mind, creating a strange sense of unease. It wasn't just the suggestion that confused me. It was the certainty behind it, the way she seemed to know that this was important. I found myself caught between logic and trust. Logically, it made no sense to hide my success. This was a moment to celebrate, to share, to finally prove myself to people who had doubted me. But emotionally, I trusted my mother more than anyone. She had always seen things clearly, always understood people in ways I sometimes couldn't. That trust made me hesitate. What if she was right? What if there was something I hadn't considered? Doubts began to creep in, not just about her advice, but about the people I had been so eager to impress. The thought that my in-laws might not react the way I expected started to take shape, unsettling and difficult to ignore. The more I thought about it, the more I realized this wasn't just about money, it was about understanding the truth behind people's intentions. Reluctantly, I agreed to follow her advice. The decision didn't come easily, and even as I made it, I questioned whether I was doing the right thing. Telling a lie about losing everything felt wrong, almost like betraying my own journey. But at the same time, there was a part of me that wanted to know. I prepared myself mentally, rehearsing how I would say it, how I would present the story of failure. The thought alone made my chest tighten, but I pushed forward, knowing that whatever happened next would reveal something important. When the moment came, I sat across from my in-laws and told them the truth they weren't expecting, the false truth. I said the deal had fallen through, that the company had failed, that I had lost everything. For a second, there was silence. Then came the reactions. Shock, confusion, and something else, something harder to define. Their expressions shifted subtly, their warmth fading into something colder, more distant. It wasn't immediate hostility, but it was enough to feel the change. As the conversation continued, the shift became undeniable. Their tone changed, their words becoming more cautious, more critical. There was less empathy than I had expected, less support than I thought I would receive. Instead, there were questions about what went wrong, subtle hints of disappointment, even suggestions about what I should have done differently. The warmth I had hoped for never came. Instead, there was distance, as if my value had diminished along with my supposed financial status. It didn't take long for the truth to reveal itself completely. I overheard conversations I wasn't meant to hear, discussions about stability, about reputation, about whether my partner should reconsider everything. The words were sharp, cutting deeper than I expected. In that moment, everything became clear. It wasn't just about money, it was about how they valued people. And without it, I no longer measured up. That was when I understood my mother's wisdom. She hadn't been trying to hide my success. She had been trying to show me the truth. She knew that people reveal themselves not when things are going well, but when they think you have nothing left to offer. Her advice wasn't about deception, it was about clarity. And now I saw everything exactly as it was. When I finally revealed the truth, the reaction was immediate. Shock replaced judgment, and suddenly, the tone shifted again. Apologies came quickly, excuses even faster. The same people who had distanced themselves now tried to close the gap, to repair something that had already been broken. But it was too late. The truth had already done its work. I responded calmly, without anger, but with a clarity I didn't have before. I didn't need their approval anymore. I didn't need their validation. What I needed was respect, and that was something they had already failed to give. Some relationships changed permanently that day, and I accepted that without regret. In the end, the biggest lesson wasn't about money. It was about people. Money doesn't change who someone is, it reveals it. And sometimes, the truth is worth far more than any amount you could ever earn. I set my boundaries, choosing self-respect over acceptance, understanding that not everyone deserves a place in your success. And as I moved forward, I realized something even more important. My greatest wealth wasn't the $15 million I had earned, but the clarity I had gained and the wisdom my mother had given me. Because in the end, true wealth isn't what you have. It's knowing who truly stands with you when you have nothing.